Everyone, I'm just going to tell you my story about how I ended up on Juice Plus and what it's done for me. So about 5 years ago, my mom was the first person to tell me about it, and she told me, you're never going to have to take another vitamin in your life. And I was like, this is not for me. I don't take vitamins anyway. You're crazy. And I just kind of didn't think about it again. And then what ended up happening in my life was I had my first son and I got postpartum depression. And that sucked. To me, it was just like not wanting to do anything, not being able to cope with it, grieving the loss of my old life because everything had changed now, and a lot of crying, like all the time. um, so I went to see a counselor, and she really explained the importance of nutrition and what it does for your brain and regulating your hormones. So then after that, my mom got me in front of someone else talking about Juice Plus, and I heard them, and they were saying that it was just 30 different fruits and veggies in a capsule. And I was like, yes, this is what I need. The easy button. Thank you. I'm going to give this a try because I know it's not going to hurt. It's definitely not going to hurt me. I don't know if it's going to help, but it's not going to hurt. So I started on Juice Plus, and at this time I'd already been on antidepressants for a couple months. And about 2 weeks after starting Juice Plus, the biggest change was I started sleeping better, which was huge because I hadn't been sleeping before at all. I like to explain it like when my head hit the pillow, I could fall asleep. And when I was supposed to be awake, I was awake. And I had way more energy throughout the day, probably from a combination of that nutrition in my body and sleeping better. And so I was just so much better able to cope with everything. And then about 9 months after my first son was born, I found out I was pregnant with their second son. And I really didn't want to be on those antidepressants anymore while pregnant. And so I talked to my doctor, and we made the decision that I could go off them. And so I did. And I had no instances of reoccurrence of postpartum depression, which was amazing. I did just fine. And that second pregnancy was so much better than the first. The first one, I was borderline diabetic. I had no problems with that the second time. Passed the test with flying colors. I had no blood pressure issues. I had no swelling, which is amazing during a pregnancy. And the absolute best part of it was after I had Russell, the recovery was so much better. It was so much quicker, everything about it, even though it was a harder labor. And you'd think it would be harder given that I was chasing after a 16-month-old at the time too. And so my family will forever take Juice Plus. All three of my kids take it. My husband takes it. We all love it. And we all have rock solid immune systems.